What kind of person runs over a disabled girl's legs and blames her for it? That's the question I kept asking myself, standing in our driveway, the late afternoon sun painting our quiet street gold. My blood was boiling, my hands shaking as I stared at the shiny black Mercedes blocking the wheelchair ramp we'd battled to install for my daughter, Sophie. At 13, Sophie relied on that ramp to get around. Her legs, weakened by a rare condition, meant her wheelchair was her freedom. And now, behind the wheel of that car sat Helen Warner, our HOA president, her polished nails drumming on the steering wheel like she didn't have a care in the world. "Move your car!" I shouted, my voice slicing through the evening stillness. "This is a no parking zone, and Sophie needs the ramp." Helen rolled down her window, her lips twisting into a smirk as she glanced at Sophie, waiting by our front door in her wheelchair, her brown eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I'll be 5 minutes," Helen snapped, her voice sharp with contempt. "Can't she wait? I've got urgent HOA business next door." I jabbed a finger towards Sophie, my hand trembling. "She's not waiting. She needs this ramp to move. We're headed to the park today." Sophie's voice, soft but firm, cut through the tension. "It's okay, Dad. I can wait." Her dark braids swung gently, her yellow dress mirroring the sadness in her eyes. She'd been so excited for this outing, and I wasn't letting Helen ruin it. "This isn't up for debate," I said, stepping closer to the car. "Move it now, or I'm calling a tow truck." Helen sighed, glancing at her gold watch with exaggerated irritation. "Fine, you people are so entitled," she sneered, shooting a venomous look at Sophie, as if her disability was some kind of personal insult. My fists clenched. This wasn't Helen's first offense. Just last week, we missed Sophie's therapy session because Helen's emergency meeting left her car blocking our ramp. As Helen inched her car back, I guided Sophie down the ramp, her wheelchair rolling smoothly. But before we could hit the sidewalk, Helen stepped out, her heels clicking sharply. "By the way," she called loud enough for the whole street to hear, "this ramp violates HOA standards. The green paint clashes with the neighborhood's VYB. It's an eyesore. Expect a fine." I turned, forcing calm into my voice. "Helen, we got approval for this ramp. Sophie needs it to leave the house." Her face flushed red, her perfectly styled hair unwovying in the breeze. "I've told the board time and again that letting disabled people into our community causes problems." She spat, the word disabled, dripping with disgust. "This proves I was right." Sophie's voice, clear despite her trembling lips, rang out. "I'm not just a disabled person, ma'am. I'm a person first, and you're breaking the rules by blocking our ramp." Helen's eyes narrowed to slits. "Don't lecture me, little girl. I don't take lessons from someone who can't even walk." "Enough!" I roared, stepping between them. "Get in your car and leave us alone." Helen stormed back to her Mercedes, muttering, "This is why good neighborhoods go downhill when they let just anyone in." I thought she'd drive off. Instead, the engine roared, and in a gut-wrenching moment, she floored the gas. The car lurched straight at us. Sophie tried to maneuver her wheelchair, but she wasn't fast enough. Time slowed as her chair tipped, her small body hitting the pavement. Helen's car didn't stop. The front tires rolled over Sophie's legs, her screams tearing through the air, the sickening crunch of bone echoing in my skull. "Sophie!" I dropped beside her, my hands hovering over her twisted legs, blood soaking through her dress. Her face was pale, her breath shallow with shock. Helen climbed out, her expression not remorseful but annoyed. "She shouldn't have fallen in my way," she said coldly. "It's not my fault she can't handle her wheelchair." Neighbors spilled from their homes, drawn by Sophie's cries. Mrs. Carter, a retired nurse from next door, rushed over, her face ashen as she saw Sophie's legs. "Don't move her," she ordered, checking Sophie's pulse. "Someone call 911. Helen, unfazed, pulled out her phone. "This is ridiculous. I'm calling my lawyer. That girl shouldn't have been in the street." My VY sound blurred with rage. "You drove over her legs on purpose," I said, my voice low and lethal. Put the phone down and wait for the police. Helen laughed, but her eyes flickered with fear. An accident, if anything. Mrs. Carter looked up, her voice trembling with fury. I saw it all from my window. You aimed for them. That was no accident. Mr. Thompson from across the street shouted. My security camera caught everything. You drove over her legs deliberately. Ambulances arrived, medics administering painkillers as they assessed Sophie's mangled legs. Multiple fractures, possible crush injuries, one whispered. Police swarmed the scene, taking witness statements. When Officer Reynolds approached Helen, she launched into a frantic defense, flaunting her HOA title and insisting Sophie had fallen in her path. Ma'am, Reynolds said, stone-faced, I have 9 witnesses saying you intentionally drove at this child after an argument. Hands behind your back. You're under arrest for assault with a deadly weapon and child endangerment. In the ambulance, I held Sophie's hand, whispering reassurances as she faded in and out of consciousness. At the hospital, the news was grim. Multiple fractures in both legs, the right so badly crushed she might never walk again, even with surgeries. As Sophie went into emergency surgery, I called my wife, Laura, who raced home, and my friend Tom, a lawyer. This is attempted murder, Tom said after hearing the details. With the VY Deo and witnesses, Helen's facing serious charges. We'll sue her into obli VY. The days that followed blurred together. Hospital VY sits, police interviews, neighbors dropping off meals. Sophie endured 3 surgeries, her pains so intense she could barely speak. We learned Helen had been skimming HOA funds and targeting families with disabled members, her emails revealing a twisted plan to cleanse the neighborhood of undesirables. Sophie wasn't her first target, but she'd be her last. Our neighbors, once intimidated by Helen's reign, rallied around us. Mr. Thompson, whose camera footage sealed Helen's fate, built new ramps for our home, admitting he regretted not standing up to her sooner. 3 months later, Sophie came home to a transformed house and a street lined with balloons and cheering neighbors. I didn't know so many people cared, she whispered, tears in her eyes. Laura hugged her. They always did, sweetheart. They just needed a reminder of what community means. At Helen's trial, Sophie testified from her wheelchair, her legs still in braces. I used to dream of dancing, she told the court, her voice unwavering. Now I dream of walking to the bathroom alone. The judge, shaken by the security footage, sentenced Helen to 8 years for assault, attempted murder, and fraud. Your deliberate attack on a disabled child out of prejudice is despicable, he said. Outside, Sophie looked up at me. Dad, is it wrong I don't feel happy she's in prison? I just feel sad someone could be so cruel. My heart broke as I hugged her. That's because you're better than her, Sophie. The lawsuit against Helen and the HOA settled fast, the payout covering Sophie's medical bills and funding a new accessible playground. Under Mrs. Carter's leadership, the HOA became a beacon of inclusion, with Sophie as its youngest advisor. At 14, she designed paths and equipment for kids of all abilities, her purple wheelchair a badge of her strength. At the playground's opening, named Sunflower Park after Sophie's favorite song, she smiled for the cameras. I'll never run, she said, but I've learned there are many ways to move forward. This playground lets every kid play together, no matter how they move. Months later, a letter arrived from Helen in prison. She apologized, claiming her work with disabled inmates had opened her eyes. Sophie read it, her face unreadable. I believe she's sorry, she said finally. But it doesn't fix my legs. Laura nodded. Maybe it means she won't hurt anyone else. Sophie smiled faintly. That was my daughter, finding light in the darkest corners. Sunflower Park thrives, a testament to Sophie's spirit. Helen, stripped of her wealth and status, fades into obscurity. Sophie's scars tell her story, but her future shaped by her love, her courage, and a community reborn from her pain shines brighter than ever.